Hello there. We're going to do a quick review. You guessed it. You guessed it. On the HM61R by Fenix. This might be a little bit of a longer review. But that's okay. A lot of channels don't include all of the details. And so we're going to make sure we include all of the details here. It comes with... Does it only come with one O-ring? It may only come with one O-ring. I'm pretty sure I didn't use an O-ring, so... Comes with this nice instruction manual. Now, magnetic charging. I'm not going to show the magnetic charging cord. Let's see, the turbo mode, a pretty honest graph. Now there is something called graphical doublespeak, and you can look up what doublespeak means. It's a form of line, and right here they're not line, and this isn't a doublespeak graph. What's great about this graph is it's very honest. You do have to pay attention that it's an exponential graph, okay? And you need to be able to see that these are, let's see. Okay, you need to be able to see that each one of these hours gets longer and longer for the same amount of space. So we start with 1 hour, we go to 2, we go to 4, in a tiny amount of space we have 6 hours, and then a longer space. Okay, a longer space is 20 to 100 hours, and then at 300 hours it cuts you off. Which is interesting. Okay, it doesn't show the runtime graph for the red mode, and that's fine. I'm not too worried about that. Then it has some details. Okay, it shows you the, that would be French. So right in the front, it has English, and I'm surprised yeah, it does. It has Chinese. Okay, so it has Chinese. And again, I can actually read some of that, but the point is, you know, when we're looking at English, okay, that we see, right, luminous SST40 LED is the LED of choice. Now, I'm only going to say that once because I didn't buy this for its LED of choice. This might be okay. Alright, and so we don't need to go through all the instructions because I'm going to show you how it uses everything. Okay. The instruction manual is pretty vivid. Now, for the red light, it says 1 lumen, 5 lumens, and then a 5 lumen flash. Okay, and then what it says that I find fascinating, okay, is it says 300 hours on eco, and then 400 hours on 1 lumen low, which is on the red light, and only 80 hours on the 5 lumen setting of the red light. Okay, and so the only issue I have with that is that I think that the 1 lumen low mode on the red light is less than 1 lumen, or that the 5 lumen red is more than 5 lumens. In any case, lumens are a measurement of light that humans see. That's not a measurement of output. The real wattage output of the red light's going to be closer in efficiency to this. It's just that we don't see the other 10 lumens the red light's giving off. We only see 5. So that's why it's so much less. But 1 lumen is still a little bit longer runtime than the eco mode. With 5 lumens, it's just not really worth it unless you really need it. It does give this flashlight, and I'm going to talk about this. This is going to be a theme on my channel, though. It gives it what's called a bailout mode. A bailout mode is just a mode so low that even when you're pretty much out of power, you're not out of power. even when you seem like you're almost completely out of energy, you know, you're not quite out of energy. So that's what that is. We're gonna move on because this takes a lot of time and doesn't really do anything. Like I said, I think you only get one little tiny O-ring, which is fine. I mean, that's not... If you're careful with this and you don't open it every time to recharge the battery, you plug it into the recharger, you should never need that O-ring because you should never be opening your flashlight. It's nice to have a couple O-rings because O-rings are kind of hard to find today. It used to be everything was the same size and you could go and pick up a bunch of O-rings at the store. Oh, this is the wrong way. But that is not the case anymore. So the box is not square. You know that now. I know that now. It's a rectangular box. Okay. And you set it up just like this. Okay. And you take the flashlight out and you take the headlamp out. Okay. So here's the flashlight and here's... Yep. And here's the headlamp. There's a lot of things that I really love about this flashlight. There's a few things that I like about it, and there's a few things that I don't like about it, but there's nothing about this flashlight that I hate. Okay, and I have quite a few flashlights, and to be honest, a lot of them are my favorite. And this is my favorite L-shaped flashlight. Possibly my favorite headlamp. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Okay, so the headband is awesome. What isn't so awesome is this plastic thing here. Now, really, so this snaps in here like this, and this is pretty good hard quality plastic. I have some other plastic that Fenix produces off their production line, and it's good stuff. It lasts a long time. It's not brittle. It's not brittle in the cold. Anyway, so it snaps in there, but you also get this extra feature here. Okay, that's a nice extra feature. It keeps it nice and tight so it doesn't move about. And then you can undo this and you can kind of angle it the way you want. All right, and you're going to angle it slightly down most of the time. And I do like how it hugs the business end of the flashlight down towards the center, so it's not too far off. But that being said, sometimes center light, that center vision right on your third eye, distorts images a little bit because when you turn it on, you get this reflection pattern. And that's kind of like we're going to see with this camera. You know, you look at something and all you see is a reflection. If it's a little bit off to the side, then it's easier for your head to kind of angle so that you can get that image off of the center of what you're looking at. Okay. But if it's in the middle, it's a little bit harder. You have to turn your head even farther to get it to be off versus if it's over here. See that? In any case, so it's nice for it. Sometimes it's nice to have a headlamp like this. I actually like wearing both. I like having this kind of headlamp, and then I also like having another headlamp with me. The closest thing to hate that I have for this flashlight is this plastic headband holder. And although all the features are fine, they just needed to add foam or maybe a rubber surround on the outside. That would have been great because these little corners dig into my head. And the other thing is, if you wear your headlamp up high on your skull, okay, this curve is fine because it's not too tight around your head. But if you wear it down on your forehead and you have a flat forehead like me, or you're really close to your eyes over your eyebrow, these corners are what are supporting the flashlight instead of the main body. Okay, so I might do some sort of second-hand thing to make this softer, like I might take some headbands, some hair bands, hair ties or something, and put them around here Okay, like tie them around here on both sides or on the corners so that this is a little bit more suspended. But the only problem is anything secondhand, unless it's like actually glued foam to the frame, is going to move about. Okay, or having it over a hat or something, and then it's not as tight to your head. So anything like that is kind of unnecessary. They needed to do two things. Number one, they needed to reduce this curve. I don't know why it's curved so much. I don't know what they measured to do that, but it is too tight of a curve for my head. Okay, I know that there might be some people in certain factories that they take their own head and they get it going. I don't know. They assume a size that's just too small. In any case, this is too small for me. I'm 6'3", and my head is actually disproportionately large for being 6'3". But I have to tell you, this is just... it's almost disappointing and almost unusable. Okay? Not unusable, but almost unusable. You can wear this for 30 minutes, but after an hour or two, it's uncomfortable. And for something with such a great runtime, it's disappointing. You know, I pretty much have to wear a hat and wear it over the hat, or wear a headband of some kind and wear this over the headband so that it eases the strain. And I might look into in the future taking all the bands off and everything and stripping it down so that I can lay some kind of perfectly flat piece of foam, super glue it to it, and then cut holes in the foam to put everything back together. We might do that. I might do a do-it-yourself project thing for that. In any case, what I do like about this is its contingency. So let's say one of these things breaks. Well, you have the other side, and that'll actually hold this. These are strong enough, that'll hold the flashlight in place. Okay, even if it's one of the bottom ones. If both sides break, you still have the strap. And if the strap breaks, okay, and both the sides break, if the strap breaks, you have both sides. But if the strap breaks and both sides break, and everything's broken at the end of the day, because you had the headlamp in your back pocket, and you sat down really hard, and you squashed everything, and you pulled it out real quick because you panicked, and when you pulled it out, this snagged on something in your pocket, and you broke the rubber strap too. You're still okay. Let me show you why you'd still be okay. Because these baseline pieces right here will work with any elastic material. Okay? And we might need this for this. Okay? They'll work with any elastic material. And if you see this right here, okay, you can actually get you can actually do any kind of elastic material, put it through this. This is an open loop, all right? It's an open loop, okay? See how it's open? So it's an open little hook design there, all right? And all you have to do is hook something to that, wrap it over the top, and hook it there. Wrap it over the top and hook it there. And as long as it's tight enough, you'll have your flashlight in there again. So that contingency plan is awesome. So the front shouldn't be changed. In fact, the only thing they should change, or that they need to change, is they could change the angle to this. They don't have to. What they have to do is add some foam on the inside of this. Okay, something that's not too sticky to the head either. So, you know, maybe some sort of rubberized foam. You know, you see it on other headlamps. They do it on their other Fenix headlamps. That kind of material. In fact, even this material would be fine. Just this on the head plastic. No, it hurts. This is reflective. Headband's awesome. Okay, there's no real better headband in the business. I mean, this is it. It doesn't have those little grippies on the inside, but for this weight of flashlight, it doesn't need that. And it doesn't get, with all the porous surface, it doesn't get too hot. We're done with the headband. It gets pretty big. My head's pretty big, and I still got room. Okay, I still got room. So that's that. You know, this rubber piece is nice. Like, if this material, just add that shit add that into this. I would pay $5 extra for the flashlight if it had that, so don't worry about your profit margins. Anyways, okay, and the top strap gets plenty big too. It's got plenty of room, and again, I have a larger head. Okay, this guy's just hanging out here. In any case, so the flashlight itself is awesome. I don't know, 15 minutes in, I haven't even mentioned the flashlight, but it's not that powerful. And one thing I want to offer on my channel is real world use. Now, I live at high altitude, low humidity, and both of those things hurt runtimes on turbo. I scratched my flashlight. I actually didn't scratch it. I loaned this flashlight to a family member, and they dropped it on concrete right in front of me, too. It was disappointing. Other than that, there's no scratches, and I've dropped it on concrete before without much scratching. Okay. In any case, this texture is really nice. Okay, if you could see that, all right, that right on the tail cap, that is good stuff. Look at that. Okay, now that right there, even closer, my guy, that right there is really nice. Okay, I wish that old flashlights had that on their tail cap. Okay, it makes that tail cap real snappy. The fingers. Finger grip on that is really good. Okay, this isn't, because it's one way. Okay, this is great because it's got ridges this way and then it's got texture this way, but this isn't so great. And this looks smooth. This looks cool. Okay, this looks great. So the aesthetic appeal of this is great. If they reverse those lines and put them this way, that'd be fine. I just wish the lines were texturized, because what happens is, if you're holding this way, it slips. Okay? I don't know why Fenix has done this with all of their flashlights, but all of them have grip in one direction. Okay? So it's fine if you're holding a flashlight like this, but, you know, and with the pocket clip adds grip, and you got this, and this is wonderful, and it's light. I just don't understand. Anyways, so the switch, let's talk about that. The switch isn't great. Okay, and the fact is, you know, it changes outputs pretty nicely. All right, but the fact is, when the temperature gets hot, the switch gets finicky, and I don't really know what the problem is, and I don't even remember what really happens, but basically it doesn't change modes as well. It turns off when you hold it. When you press it, it turns off, and when you hold it down, it changes the mode and doesn't always turn it on or off. It runs into a lot of issues when it overheats, and I think it's because it's just a sensitive pressure switch that runs into some thermal expansion issues in the head, because the switch is so close to the LED. Look at that. Okay, I mean, that LED is probably 6 or 7 millimeters away from that internal pressure switch, because that internal pressure switch is about here, and I mean, that LED that's inside there is almost here maybe, and the pressure switch here, I mean, you're talking about 10 millimeters or less of where that switch is, and being so close to that heat source, getting to 170, 160 degrees Fahrenheit maybe. I mean, that's hot. So I can understand why it has the issue. I just wish they compensated for it better. So basically, you know, it glows green at 100%, then it flashes. And obviously, we just went from glowing to flash. And I think if we run it briefly at a high setting, and then turn it off and click, it'll flash. Yep. So it's dropping in voltage. So it's somewhere in between, you know, 50 and 100 right now. Then what it does is it glows red, and then it flashes red. And when it's flashing red, now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure. I don't remember the instructions or what happened to me, but I think that it doesn't flash red when it's running out of power. When it's about to run 100% out of power, I don't think it actually flashes for you. I think you got to figure that out by yourself. And I know that the output decreases, but prematurely to when it has to. I talked about this in my myth videos. Flashlights don't step down because they're running out of power. They step down to let you know that they're running out of power. Okay, but when you have 3 volts multiplied by about a remaining 4 or 5 amps, you have plenty of power to run this LED at 1,000 lumens. So even when the battery is almost completely out of energy, the only reason they do that is for the health of the battery, which is important because you'll go from 1,000 charge cycles to like 100 charge cycles if you run a battery down to less than 3 volts every single time. Okay, so it helps to not damage the cell. And when you plug it on a recharger, because it's low power, if you go from draining cells super fast to charging them, it can actually really screw up the cell. Okay, that's very, very bad for a cell. So that's just another like pseudo reason why companies don't do that. If you're running custom flashlights and batteries and whatnot, and your batteries aren't protected, and that custom like the MS-34 or something like that is like pushes itself really, really hard all the way down to 0, and you pull that cell out and you throw it into the charger and immediately start charging it, you're in for a real shock. All right. That is not a good idea. Okay, that can break some cells, set them on fire, blow your charger, because it will resist the charger charging it, and it will force its current out into the charger. Okay, most chargers today won't allow it to screw with the charger, but if you have a really cheap charger, like a 1 cell, like you've really done yourself good, right? You spent like $30 and you have a 5,000 lumen flashlight and you have its battery charger and you think you're good to go. You break that charger, okay, and the charger will no longer work. I've done that, so don't tell me that can't happen. Okay, I was that guy. I did that. I spent $30, got a cheap flashlight, thought it was several thousand lumens, thought it was awesome, ran it all the way down, pulled it out, popped it in the charger, it broke the charger. Okay, that was a long time ago. I don't like admitting that, but it's true. Okay, I was a flashlight noob when I was a flashlight noob. Don't do that to yourself. It's just another reason why they cut down on the output, is so that the battery isn't stuck in its output, because it has to reverse polarity in order to charge. In any case, the fact is, everyone's out of power. You can tell because it starts to kill the output, and eventually it does. Eventually, I believe it flashes. Don't hold me on that. I believe it flashes. Okay. Now let me tell you the real reasons I bought this. One of them is this right here. It's an L-shaped flashlight. It does have a magnet. Okay, I am not sure if this magnet's removable. Okay, I have never tried it, but you can see the magnet right here. Okay, I believe that's a nightmare. I believe that it's removable. I believe that it's removable because I think that if you take that spring out, there's nothing holding it in there. But I can't tell. Plus, I don't have the special pliers you need to take that spring out of there. I mean, I have some tweezers and I could probably do it if I absolutely had to, but I'm not going to screw with it unless I absolutely have to. Okay, but I believe you can remove the magnet. Don't hold me to that. It could be glued in there, and if it's glued, you're not getting it out without a lot of force and possibly damaging the threads. Moving on. The threads, by the way, are really nice, and it does open up here too. I think. Don't tell me it doesn't. Okay, the head's sealed. I don't think it's one piece. Okay, it's not one piece. You're not going to be able to see this. You're not going to be able to tell. It isn't one piece, I don't think. There's a small gap there, and I think I don't know. I don't know. It could be sealed. It could be one piece. I'm not sure. But it only unscrews on the tail cap. Okay, now magnetic charging is great. It does have two magnets, one tiny magnet in the center here, and then this magnet. So even if you remove this, it will still have a magnet. Keep that in mind. Magnetic charging works awesome. The cable isn't, but the flashlight's waterproof when you're magnetically charging it, so you can charge it when it's soaking wet. I don't know about charging it underwater. You're in for a real shock if you charge it underwater. But it may not function because it may pick up on the fact that it's underwater, and the cable might not let you charge it. The cable's probably not waterproof, so I wouldn't mess with that. But if you live on a boat, you might have no choice. In which case, my guess is it would still work as long as everything isn't too wet. So this optic is great. It's one of the main reasons to buy this flashlight is for the optic. Okay, this optic's excellent. It's got a really nice depth to it, and it's slightly frosted. It's not totally clear, but you could see that it's relatively clear. Okay, and it gives you such a nice. It's such a nice flashlight, my guy. You get a really nice beam pattern. I don't have the equipment to really show you beam patterns and how good this flashlight is and whatnot. But the beam pattern's got a nice. Okay, it gives you a nice feel, right? To your surroundings. As you can see, it's a little bit narrow. For up close work, you get a little bit of a hot spot here. As you cannot see on the camera, it's got a very wide spill. It comes all the way out to here. Now you can tell how wide the spill is by the shadow. Okay, now I turn the flashlight all the way out, and there's still a faint shadow of the hand, even when it's you know. Here, let's do it this way. You can use the shadow to tell that even way out here, there's still a little bit of a shadow from my finger. So it's a very wide flood, right? See if you can get that. Okay. So even when it's all the way over here, still having a shadow. So that tells you it's a very wide flood. All right. So that's really nice. But if you're going really up close, there's that flash again. That's the thing about it being finicky. Sometimes if you press it in the wrong spot, it doesn't turn on, but it gets much worse when it's hot. Okay, that switch is finicky. It's one of the improvements they need. The red I love. Okay, as you can see, it slightly enhances stuff like this. The orange in its box. Look at that light up. It's pretty good, right? You know, that's pretty nice. But now it has this nice beacon mode where it kind of flashes. This would be good on the back of a bicycle or a car. If you were stopped and you needed to alert drivers a little bit better. It's not particularly powerful, so during the day it wouldn't work. But at night, if it's been night for a long enough time, this would kind of work for you. It's also a good beacon mode. Great beacon mode for family member or something. When you're out hiking, you can clip this onto your backpack. And I would recommend having two of these, you know, or a separate headlamp and a separate flashlight. You have your headlamp, your flashlight, and you have this on your back. And you can have this on beacon mode. I call it beacon mode. I don't know what it calls it. Okay. The flash says 160 hours. So you got plenty of time to run it for a few days in a row if that's the only setting you use. All right. Now, it says impact resistance 2 meters. That's good because if it falls from your head, it'll survive. Unless you're more than 2 meters tall. I mean, I'm almost 2 meters tall, but not quite, and I'm pretty tall, so I don't know. Plus, it's not going to fall off the crown of your head. It's going to fall off its thing, and it's probably not going to fall very quickly. It says 2 meters underwater at IP68. 6 is the maximum setting, by the way. It's not like it can be IP78. That doesn't exist. Okay, so IP68 is really good. And, you know, there's not much else. It is a fully featured flashlight, and I'll talk more about what that means later. But except you can't really put it down on the head, but you wouldn't. You'll put it here, or you'd set it down. So to wrap it up, since we've crested over the 30-minute mark, this flashlight's excellent. Okay, it has a 5, listen close, it has a 5 lumen eco mode or bailout mode, 50 lumen low, 150 lumen mid, 400 lumen high, and 1200 lumen turbo. The 2-hour turbo, it states in the instructions, like you saw, it gives you little ups and downs. In real world, it doesn't last 15 minutes like most Fenix flashlights. Maybe not even 5. Okay, the turbo lasts about 2 minutes or so before it goes from 1200 down below 1000. Okay, comparing it to other lights that are standard. Now, you wouldn't use the turbo, okay, because it's plenty bright for most stuff at 400 lumens. But if you are caving or doing something that requires a lot more power than that, this might not be the light for you. It is the only category I think that this thing is a little bit subpar, but only in a little bit. And to be honest, I've almost never used a turbo. Okay, I finally did, and I discovered the switch problem and discovered it doesn't last that long. In real world usage, what I will tell you is that this low mode definitely burns it down. 38 hours might be a little bit optimistic for the low mode. It might be more than 50 lumens on my model, who knows? But that 30 hours, it's probably more like 32 hours for me in real world intermittent usage. The other settings, are probably pretty accurate. I haven't had this for long enough to really test those. The best thing about this is clipping it to your shirt, your jacket, or your waistband. Okay, I found that even with shorts, and I'm not going to show myself here, but even if you have like shorts on, you can actually clip this right to the shorts, and it does just fine. So clip this into your shorts, okay. And a lot of the times the waistband will be too thick to fit up in here, so it will go right to here. But in some cases, jeans. Okay, coming into part 2 here. So like a pair of jeans, right? This will be snug. It'll also go right into your 5th pocket or one of your front pockets, and you can put it in your pocket and angle it, and you actually still have light. That right there, that alone is the bread and butter of this flashlight. And in case you were wondering, you keep the pocket clip on when you put it on the headband. So the bread and butter of this flashlight is that you can put it in the headband. If you see here, okay, there's clearly enough space. There's a ridge right there that the pocket clip fits into. Whoops. So, nice healthy snap there. The pocket clip fits into that ridge. All right. We'll see if we can't get this down to one video. All right, so we have that ridge. And the pocket clip just stays. So pocket clip simply stays in there, okay? And it swivels with, you could see the pocket clip here. It swivels with the flashlight. All right? It just turns around. So that's the bread and butter, is you can put it on your head, take it off your head, clip it on your backpack, or whatever. I use this with also another headlamp on my head. That's what I think makes this flashlight or breaks it. For me, it makes it. It's very light. It's very close to the size of the of the flashlight. So a lot of use for filming the X80 GT. I use for everything, everywhere in life. Here's a picture of it next to that. Okay, so it's shorter than the X80 GT by a huge margin. So it's shorter than a can of soda, because this is the same as a can of soda. And compared to the width of a can of soda, okay, it's quite a bit wider. It's quite a bit longer than it would be wide, but its width, of course, is very, very, very tiny. Very tiny. You know, maybe smaller than the center here. Yeah, it's so the face of it is smaller than that center. This magnetic tail cap is probably no bigger than the head. This dimension was probably bigger. So this is bigger than the tail cap. These nice rounded edges are golden. A lot of flashlights have this perfect circle on the top, just like this, and that can be a little edgy, you know, but this is nice and round, which means when I put it in the next to my belly, okay, I don't have a belly because I'm a pretty fit person, but even if you weren't fit, okay, you clip this into your jeans, whatnot, and you have it tucked into your belly, and it'll actually be comfortable. It's not going to dig into your skin or anything like that. That's the bread and butter of this thing, man. You can even put it on your watch, right? I mean, I'm not going to do it, but you put it on your watch. You could put it on a wristband, and then you have your wristband light, right? You could put it this way too. If you wanted to, you have a wristband light. You could put it on red, leave it on red, have it on all the time. What I do is when I'm hiking, okay, I do a lot of hiking and night hikes and stuff. I have this on my wrist. I have this on my my backpack has a belly strap, a lower torso strap. Okay, it's pretty thick like this. The buckle's like this big. And what I do is I put it right next to the buckle on that, and it's nice and snug, and it's nice and tight, and I can angle it. Okay, and it's pretty perpendicular, so it lights up the trail. And then I also have my headlamp, but I can turn my headlamp off and still have hands-free lighting. That, my friends, is this flashlight. That is this flashlight. I mean, that is the definition of this thing. There are other lights that will do that, but a lot of them are heavier. Okay, some of them are overpowered. They're like 4,000 lumens, but they weigh twice as much as this does. Okay, and the battery they use weighs almost twice as much as this. Plus, you can run CR123s. Okay, I believe. I don't know if it tells you on the box, but you can run CR123s. It just says 18650. Because that's what they want you to use. I'm like 99.9% sure you can use CR123. So if you want to cut the weight in half, or a little bit less than half, a little bit more than half of the weight of the 18650 would be 2 CR123s. It'd be about 60% as heavy as the 18650 it comes with. Or you can use a really low quality, like a 1200 milliamp hour 18650, and that'll weigh about the same as 2 CR123s. Okay, so you can run something like that and you'll cut the weight down even more. That's why the weight without the battery is important. I'll probably post a picture of the weight with a gram scale because I have a nice, gram scale. The magnets might interfere slightly with the gram scale, so the weight's going to be approximate. Okay, only because they might interfere with the springs by a few grams, but not by very much. Not if I lay it like this. Zero it out with a cloth rag on top or something and lay it down like this, it should be fine. Okay, and I should get a good gram weight without the battery, and then a gram weight of the included battery. Okay, I believe it includes a high quality cell. Let's see. Oh, this isn't the cell it came with, guys, so I'm gonna wear this. This is a random ass ace beam cell. I don't know how that happened. Does it include a cell? Did I give away the cell? Guys, I don't know. It says included. I don't know what happened to the other cell. I probably exchanged it to save power at some point and forgot to put it back in here, or I put it in another Fenix flashlight. But whatever. Okay, the cell includes is fine. It's a It doesn't tell you how big it is, but I think it's a 3500 milliamp hour. I think it's 3500 milliamp hours, just so that the flashlight has better specifications. Yeah, 3500. ARBL 18 3500. So it's a 3500 milliamp hour cell, the one that it comes with. So it's a pretty solid battery. I replaced it with this Ace-Beam battery, probably just because it ran out of juice. And that's very important to me. USB recharging, magnetic charging, fine, but have a replaceable cell. Okay, this is like a trail trek video, which are great. I like detailed videos. Have a cell that's replaceable, because it's great if a flashlight takes 30 minutes to charge. Like, that's fantastic. That's way faster than any flashlight I know charges. Even a fast charging Type C or magnetic proprietary charging system usually takes at least an hour, typically from 0 to 100, 2 hours, or even longer than that to charge. Okay, which might be competitive, but there's nothing more competitive than recharging your flashlight from 0 to 100% in about 10 seconds. Okay, just a real quick. Probably 20 seconds, guys. I don't know if I'm that fast. But just a real quick, pop out the cell, use the magnet to just pull it right out, which is great. Fling it aside, use your magnet negative of the battery, pop it in there, screw it on. Bam, I've recharged my flashlight in 20 seconds. Okay? And again, CR123s. You can pop a couple of those in there. When you run out of these, you can go to your local 7-Eleven or a Walmart or whatever box store you have and pick up some camera batteries, pop them in there for $20 for however much they cost, and you'll have your full energy again. So I highly recommend that you do that. And there's really nothing wrong with it, man. There's nothing wrong with this flashlight. Okay, it's lower power, but like I said, it's very low in weight. It's like 60. It even advertises it, I think. And the weight I got was almost identical. Weight, 99 grams without the battery. Okay, a little bit more than I was thinking in my head, but I mean, 99 grams is nothing. Unless you have a 14500 flashlight, nothing weighs less than that. Not for an 18650 flashlight, not by a huge margin. Not that also has red LEDs, and a magnet. If you take the magnet out, you're going to lose a couple grams anyways. So, so something that has all the features that this has for 99 grams, obviously they had a target of 100 grams, obviously, okay, without the battery. And that matters much more than including the battery. There's this myth out there that you should measure your flashlight with the battery. Of course not, because you can put LR120 CR123s in there, and all of a sudden, your flashlight weighs 50% less, and it's like, that's always better, right? So it's better to know the naked weight than to know the weight, with the battery, Included battery, of course, makes sense, but I'll weigh that separately, and I'll put it in the description. Okay, so that's my very long review of the HM61R. Again, just feature rich. I do wish. Now listen, they went with. You never see this. The red has a low, a high, and a flash, and we talked about using the beacon. Whoops. See, sometimes the switch don't work all that great. Okay, they need to improve that. I don't know what happens to it. I don't know if you're really firm with it and you're using your finger, it doesn't have problems. But when I use my thumb and kind of come at an angle, it has. It's not having problems now. Anyway, sometimes it has problems. That's the thing. Most of the times it doesn't. So it kind of scares me when it does. I think they could have increased that difference. I think instead of 1 lumen and 5 lumens, they could have a 1 lumen and like a 20 lumen or 50 lumen mode. If they had that, if they had red, because this is a blood red color. You can't tell with my camera, but that is a blood red. Okay, I mean, that is a blood red color. Okay, that is a nice, like photogenic red, blood red color. Okay, I mean, human blood bleeds this color. All right, I mean, seriously, I don't want to get grim with you guys, but I mean, this is the perfect, right? The perfect blood color, right? If only it was brighter, man. Wow, I can feel the heat. That's because the energy output's much higher than the lumen output. It's probably 20 lumens, 25 lumens or so, but your eyes can only see 5 of those. In any case, should have made it brighter. It's got 2 gosh darn LEDs, man. It's got two LEDs. It could have been 100 lumens. Okay, which again is really 300 lumens minus 200 that your eyes can't see. Okay, but I mean, it could have been like a 50 or 60 lumen red mode, and then you could see everything in red. It would have been awesome, because then you could add this to, you could add hunting to these uses. It doesn't have a usage panel on it, on the box. You could add hunting to its uses, but without that, you can't. Okay, I mean, it's, if you hold it real close to the ground, maybe you clip it to your shoe or something, but you can't. 5 lumens just isn't very bright. Okay, plus it doesn't throw very much, which is on purpose, and I'm glad it isn't very throwy. It's a real washed out. Okay, it doesn't have any hot spot to it. You know, it's really floody. If it had throw to it, maybe you could use 5 lumens, but with no throw, it's pretty useless. Okay, great for reading maps, great for low light situations, blah blah blah. Okay, wonderful, because you have that 5, and then you can also put it all the way down to 1 lumens. And 1 lumens is nice when you're hiking with somebody to see them on the back of their head. You can see that 1 lumen or that 5 lumen flash if they get a little farther from you, and you can cycle between them. But that 5 lumen mode is just too low to really see blood, and it would have been an awesome feature. It's just, it feels like they just barely missed that. It's like, man, you could have had something that was like next level, next universe awesome. Okay, not to mention that if that 1200 lumen mode was brighter and the switch didn't have its problem. Okay, if it was 1500 lumens and the switch didn't have this problem, and the red level was better, I would give it a higher mark. I don't want to copy Trail Track too hard here. But in 1 to 10 in overall, do I recommend this flashlight? Absolutely. Okay. I give it a solid 9. All right. You know, it's all those little tiny little features don't add up too bad for me. You know, this clip is perfect. It's tight here so that you can use it on thicker bands, and then it's even tighter with this little notch in here if you have like a pocket or something and you want to wedge that pocket all the way up. But it's not too tight, and it's definitely not too loose. Okay, the tension on this for my model is perfect. Everyone's going to vary slightly because it's cheap and it's steel. Okay, steel tends to vary a little bit unless you have humans making it, and we don't. We have robots making these steel clips. So some of them are going to come off the line loose, some will be too tight, but mine is Goldilocks. My guy, this is just enough tension that I can slip it onto the clothes and slip it off without too much hassle, but enough that if I'm upside down, it's not gonna, you can clip this upside down in your belt and it's not gonna come out. Okay, until you want it to, and then it will glide right out. It's perfect for me. Okay, the curvature of this is pretty good. I think it's a little close to the tail cap, but that's good for security. So once it's in, it stays in until you really want it to come out. It kind of makes it a little bit harder to initiate it clipping in and out, which is great. Okay, so you know, it's just so awesome. Man, I have added this to my EDC. I always carry this, even when I have big lights like this and small lights like this on me. I always make sure I have this guy because no matter what I'm doing, I can always multiply it and add this to it by just hitting it there on something magnetic or putting it on my clothing or something somewhere. Okay, I think this is for everybody. You know, unless the magnet thing bothers you, or you absolutely need something that's a stronger output. You know, even then, just as an accessory for $60 or whatever this is, everyone on earth should have one of these. In fact, if you don't have one of these, you're low tier. You don't have a good flashlight collection, in my opinion. I'm just kidding, guys, but in all seriousness, you need an HM61R. I don't want to advertise for Fenix without getting paid, but I'm going to anyways. You need one of these, okay? If you don't, if you haven't purchased one of these yet, you've made a very terrible mistake, okay? You need a change, right? You need to get it together, and you need to get one of these. All right, in all seriousness, guys, this is... something ever happened to this, instant replace, instant purchase. In fact, I've already put money aside. Instantly get one of these again if something happens. I'm probably gonna get a second one, just so that I can, double fist them, and like I said, just add them to whatever else I'm doing. Okay, all those little improvements, definitely get a better, more comfortable headband. Definitely improve the overall output, fix the switch problem, and generate a third mode for the red, or just increase the difference between the red modes, and you have a 10 out of 10. Okay, so 9 out of 10. A little bit of improvement to be made. Maybe even maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe an 85 out of 100. Okay, thanks for watching this absurdly long review. Hopefully I edit this and cut it down. The space. I love this design. There's a little roundness. It's a good looking flashlight, but even if I hated the design, I would absolutely I would absolutely get this. And I love the C with the trash because you can cover it. I love that the marking on Fenix flashlights is great. They're one of the best because they're understated, but they still have a designation so that you can still read it plainly and clearly and easily. And then they put their C either in a place where you don't have to look at it all the time. I mean, this is in the back, so you don't even see it when it's on your head. That's great. They legally have to put that on this for sale in certain countries. Okay, and then they have the smallest hot symbol I've ever seen in my life. I will briefly mention here, now that we're wrapping it up, that this is too small. Okay, they should have made this bigger or put it somewhere else. This is one of the hottest flashlights I have. This easily goes over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and if not, it feels like it. I think it has a high amount of magnesium in this aluminum, so just like their other light, they don't advertise that fact because they want it to feel like it's not that much of an upgrade. If this already had magnesium, but I think this is I don't think this is 6061, and it doesn't say anywhere that it is. Unlike their other flashlights, which all say that they're 6061. So this might be a high magnesium alloy, in which case maybe that's why it transfers heat so fast. But I mean, it gets hot. Okay, at least 110 degrees, man. I mean, it hurts to touch the head of this. I think it's more like 120, 125. That might be why that switch has problems. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and have a great day.